right? Because John Wick he's like mourning, and then his dog dies, and he goes ballistic, right? This guy is like a repressed murder hobo, just dying to kill someone.
Welcome to the What's Our Verdict podcast, where we fashion ourselves cinematic judge and jury. My name is JJ Crowder. I'm here with my co-hosts, Mattson Heiner.
Better red than dead.
Javier Ortiz.
What is up, my nerds?
And Ian Anderson.
Some shit.
Do you ever find yourself wondering if you should spend the time, money, or both on a movie? Well, we're here to answer that question for you. Each week we put a movie on trial, discuss the facts, pass judgment, and let you know our verdict. We appreciate your help growing the podcast by hitting that follow or subscribe button. Tell a friend about us. Go check out our website, whatsourverdict.com. You can subscribe to our email list for exclusive content and updates. You can also find our new merch there. If you go to the shop button at the top and click on merch, you can see we have some t-shirts and some mugs, and I'm working on some new t-shirts, gents. So they're going to be surprised. I won't tell you what they are. I'll let you know when they're done, but I am working on some new t-shirts.
Are they going to be quotes of all the awesome things we've said?
I don't know, maybe.
Also, we'll have to wait and see. Are the mugs going to be 15 inches, which is the same as a foot and a half?
Yes.
Or, yeah.
like a Hermes that's even taller than the...
You're going to call that the Javier mug. No, they're 11 ounces and 15 ounces. And I did get one, and Alec got his mugs. He had ordered some mugs. So, again, we always appreciate Alec. It's
nice.
The guy's our biggest fan for sure. I told him we were going to have him on again. So I told him to pick a movie that's coming out in the next couple of months that he wants to review, and we'll have him on again. So that'll be fun. We're coming up on the end of April, so you'll have another couple of weeks to go to Podchaser and leave us a review to help with the Meals on Wheels program that's helping with elderly folks that were impacted by the coronavirus pandemic. So go do that again. For every review you leave on Podchaser, they donate a quarter to Meals on Wheels. If we reply, which we will, they donate another quarter, so that's 50 cents. And then our podcast hosts, Captivate, is matching all of those donations up to $1,000. So up for a chance to $1 each review. So as we will reply. So please go do that. Good, bad, or indifferent. We don't care. We're just trying to help out that charity. Plus, on top of that, it does help us. So we do appreciate it. Today, we're reviewing Nobody. It was released March 26, 2021. It was written by Derek Kolstad. It was directed by Ilya Naishuller. It stars Bob Odenkirk, Alexei Serebryakov, Connie Nielsen, Christopher Lloyd, and RZA. A bystander who intervenes to help a woman being harassed by a group of men becomes the target of a vengeful Russian mobster.
I love how they're like, this is a catalyst, when in reality in the movie he was going to fight anyone.
Yeah,
this just happened to unfold in front of him.
Yeah, it's technically a poor introduction or synopsis by IMDb there, because and I even changed it because it was like the target of a vengeful drug lord, and I'm like, nowhere in this movie is he indicated as a drug lord. He
wanted to do karaoke, snort his coke, and get on with his life.
Yeah, I mean, he was vengeful because of his brother, but at the same time, like, he wasn't a drug lord. He was like a security guy for
he was a cash
bunch
guy.
of money. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, I laughed, so I was like, I'll change it a little bit because he seemed more like a Russian mobster to me.
Question for the group: how long do we? The main character's name is what again? Because I just think of him as killer.
Hutch
Nobody.
Mansell.
Hutch, there we go.
Mansell.
Yeah, we'll just call him Nobody. How long do you think Hutch, aka Nobody, was in? I guess he was in his marriage for as old as his kids were, probably. Then say add 4 to 5 years. So he was in this situation, 20-ish years, maybe.
I don't know. Are you talking? Oh, so being like the family man,
being like the family, putting on the facade, as he said.
Well, it sounded like he met his wife at the end of his career, didn't he? Like in Rome, right?
I don't remember.
I have no idea. And I guess you guys and Ian and Mattson have now brought up the problem one of the problems that I have with this movie is like, so he goes out and he gets in this fight on the bus and he gets stabbed, right? And then he comes home and Connie Nielsen proceeds to stitch his ass up and seems like
she does not stitch him up.
She super glues his ass.
She super glued a stab wound.
Hey, she pinched it together. It was all about the pinch.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of these deep cuts, they super glue anyway nowadays. But I guess my thing is they made it seem like this isn't new territory for her. Like she was used to him coming home looking like fucking Swiss cheese and she had to put him back together on occasion. But then as the movie progressed, it seemed like she wasn't used to this lifestyle and she had no idea who he was and what he did. And I was like, you can't have it both ways. Like you can't have our husband come home with a stab wound. You act not surprised, super glue his ass back together. And then the next morning when a bunch of people come and he murders everyone, you act like you didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
Well, I think that part was new to her though, because the way that I understood it is like she was was used to him coming home beat to hell, but she wasn't used to people coming after him at home. That's kind of the way that it.
Because you don't fucking do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
was a
fair.
John Wick moment.
Yeah, I was gonna say like after that scene for most of the movie, I thought that like it was like his family was in this type of organization, right? Because like his dad is just okay killing people in a retirement home, and like the wife is used to stitching him up, and so I just thought like she was also somehow involved but got out type of thing, because he's like, yeah, just like old times. But then it started seeming more like she wasn't involved. She was his wife and he was involved. And I'm like, why would she be stitching him up though? Like, like the U.S. military is just like, all right, good job on this Black Ops mission. I see you got shot. Go home to your wife. She's great with super glue. Why is stitching him up like so not weird to her? So yeah, that like little dynamic confused. Honestly, that whole dynamic confused me throughout the whole movie, because even with the dad, I'm like, what does the dad do? Because the dad and Hutch at 2 different times are like, remember who we used to be or what we used to do? It's like, I do. I'm like, well, I don't. Could you bring me up to speed on what you guys are all doing?
This movie didn't really describe any situation in depth. You just had to kind of guess. At least that's how I took it.
Yeah, they left a lot of questions unanswered, which I guess is fine as long as you're going to do world building. But I feel like, and I guess that was my other issue, is there were things that I was so like confused on that they pulled me back, and I forgot about my confusion because of the violence. And I was like, this is fucking fun to watch. But like, I like those in-depth pieces. Like, I would have loved a conversation between Christopher Lloyd and RZA and this guy that actually told me that these guys used to be a trio. They were all nobody, right? Like, I think that would have been cool. And they kind of implied that to a certain degree, but then they also didn't give you enough to actually come to that conclusion. It's just that they're all a bunch of some murderous trio of father and sons. Like, it's just like, what the fuck? But I think, yeah, like I think that was my only real issue with this movie. I mean, it's short, and I don't know that I would have wanted it to be longer, which those conversations would have made it longer. But I think some answers would have been cool. They could have done more to leave it less just up in the air and nobody knows what the hell's going on.
I was a little disappointed about the military tie that they went with, right? Because he's like all mysterious. You have no idea what this guy's doing. And then he was like, I was in the military. I was just an auditor. And then it turns out like he just like went and cleaned up messes for the military, right? And I'm like, that's just not that. I just don't feel like that leaves a lot of room. And I'm comparing it to John Wick, right? Because like John Wick can do whatever they want with their world because we haven't seen it before. Like we don't know anything about this weird underground assassins guild, but like we've seen Black Ops military movies before, right? So they kind of niched in a little bit. So anyway,
I mean, technically it wasn't full on military because he said the 3-letter agencies, so implying NSA, CIA, FBI. Mm-hmm. So those guys do get to, in all the lore, especially Hollywood lore of those guys, right? They get to work in the shadows and be a little more secretive. And there's always the implication that those agencies have assassins and all this shit in the background that we just don't know about, which probably is bullshit to a degree. I mean, we know the CIA has it. Well, we know the CIA has assassins, but the FBI,
Hillary Clinton has her own assassin like on speed dial, dude. I have no doubt that the federal government has a slew of assassins.
I just think it's funny at the end of this movie when he's sitting there and they're like, who are you? And he's like, I'm a nobody. And those two FBI investigators get the call and what they're just like, oh yeah, he just killed, I don't know, 30, 40 people. Just let him go. And then 3 months later, he's out buying a house. And like, I think he's back working for them. I mean, it just seems ludicrous to me, like sweeping under the rug. Doesn't even matter. Thankfully, he killed a bunch of Russians. Like, whoop-de-doo.
I'm not an attorney, but I feel like that would be really easy to defend. The Russian mob came after this dude and he defended himself violently, excessively, but he defended himself.
I think the beginning would be more interesting as this man got on a bus and things started to happen.
That would be a tough one.
Why did they fight? And then why did he basically, like, why didn't he just defend himself and walk off? Because that bus driver would be like, oh yeah, he got hit out of the bus and then went back in to finish business.
So when that fight,
the defense attorney would be like, he did put a trach, aka a straw, to help that guy breathe.
He's nothing if not a good Samaritan. You know, dude, when that fight scene started,
Oh my god.
he's like, okay, so this is one thing that I like a little bit better than John Wick is like the reasoning, right? Because John Wick he's like mourning and then his dog dies and he goes ballistic, right? This guy is like a repressed murder hobo, just dying to kill someone for 20 years. And then he gets disrespected by his wife and his son on a daily basis. He was this close to clubbing some Latina chick to death in his own house. Like, and he gets on a bus and it's just God literally places the Russian mob in front of him. Like, they're not people. And he goes nuts on them. I'm like, I can understand this. Like, the way that they built up the movie, I'm like, yeah, I get this.
If you're Russian, how do you feel about all of this?
Yeah, Russians are always the bad guys. They'll never get old for me.
Hollywood is just shaming them hardcore, and then they always lose. They always just get beaten up by a bunch of just...
I mean, that's pretty historically accurate, too.
One thing I did like about that scene, though, in this, Hutch, he gets beaten up. Like, it's not... He's some amazing, clearly he knows how to fight and everything, but I just thought it was a sheer willpower where this dude is psychotic to an extent where he can literally just take a beating and he always gets up and he comes back for more. And I mean, he got stabbed, he got thrown through a glass window. I mean, I've punched multiple times and this dude is still coming back at it. And I thought that was an interesting perspective because when you're fighting 5-on-1, yeah, you may be amazing, but you're probably going to take a couple of punches and they're going to hurt.
Dude, why wouldn't he move his head? He took like 9 right crosses in that bus. I'm like, move your head. This is basic fight training. He would just sit there. It's just like when the fight started, that guy's like, I'll do this. He just took it right across the face.
But I think that's an intimidation factor where they're like, oh, we got him. We knocked him down. And then he gets up because you saw all their faces. And then he was like,
I mean, sure. But you know what's also intimidating? Kicking a knife through a dude's shin, ripping a bar off of a bus and beating a man to death with it. That's pretty intimidating.
Very true.
I think it was part of it. I think not only did he want to beat somebody's ass, but he wanted to take those hits. He wanted to feel that pain. Like, I think it was beyond, like, the whole bus thing was just kind of one of those lucky happenstances. He went down and tracked down the people that broke into his house, and then he couldn't do anything because they were just this desperate family that were looking for some money. And then he's going to feel guilty. He's not a bad guy, so he couldn't hurt them. So then he gets on these buses and these assholes come in, and now he gets to feel that pain and enjoy that. So I think being beat up was part of it, why he let him do it. Because it was also looking at it, and he said it was a one-time thing. It was an anomaly. It wasn't. And then he just got dragged further in because one of those guys happened to be coincidentally the big boss, his brother, who he hated anyway. But I mean, he's Russian, so he's got to avenge his brother, right?
I mean,
there's another John Wick tie-in right there. The Russian family member that doesn't know what he's getting into when coming after by the big mob boss.
Yeah.
How could you know? I want to talk about I think my favorite scene in watching this with JJ. I'm sure he knows where I'm going to go with this. When he's looking for that couple that robbed his house and he finally finds the correct tattoo parlor and they start to intimidate him with the brass knuckles and those 2 guys carrying like baseball bats. And then that one war veteran calls him out that his FBI badge is old and everything. But then I think he's extending out the money that he was going to use, the cheese. He sees that war veteran sees those 2 tattoos of, I think, 7 and 2 from the cards. And then that guy immediately walks into the other room and bolts like 8 different locks or something.
Like slowly closes the window.
And you see the shop owner, those guys are like, oh, like JJ was, I mean, we were both laughing. JJ was dying during that.
Well, I just love that there was so many of them. Like, I get that he turns the deadbolt, but then there's like a slider, like 6 more deadbolts, another, like seriously, like a freaking tank couldn't have got through that fucking door. And then he just like looked, he's like, have a good day, as he slides that fucking that like face slider through. Like, yeah, I thought that shit was funny. But it does lead me to another issue that I had with this movie, and that is like, okay, I get that, and he locks all the doors. That was a great comedic relief. But then we go to this Russian lady that he intimidates, and this hacker that she gets into his redacted file, right? She blackmails this guy, gets his redacted file. The guy sends it over. Yeah, that was also
someone needs to tell that guy there's no shame in whatever you're into.
Yeah,
you know,
well, except you don't want your wife to find. I mean, there's no shame in your game.
Live your truth.
that obviously was his wife. But like, yeah, so he sends over this highly redacted folder, and then she like quits her job at the Russian mob or whatever it was. This guy, her boss, who she throws this file at and leaves, we see when we first get introduced to him, kills a man with a bottle in an extremely violent, like after going Punisher on his face with the bottle, or it was the stem of that fucking wine glass, slices this dude's face down, cuts his throat. She works for this man, and she sees a bunch of redacted shit. It's not like she can read this saying this guy was part of this hit boss, he killed all these people. You just see violent images and then redacted information. Why does she quit? You work for an extremely violent man. Why are you so intimidated by this guy that you fucking quit? Like, I didn't understand that. Like,
so by what she said, I assume that she didn't work for him, but she was like a contractor, right? So she like volunteered her services for the mob, because she came in and she's like, I'm done, no payment necessary, right? Like, you don't say that to your boss, right? Like, you don't say no payment necessary. So I assumed that she's just a hacker that he would use, and she's like, yeah, I don't want any part of this.
Sure, but I still don't understand. Like, yeah, to me, I was like, and she wasn't the only one. Like, a couple other people got scared at the mention of who, and I'm like, look, you're in a very violent world already. Like, you're hacking for the Russian mob. I mean, fine, say I don't want any part of this. I'm not doing any more work in this particular area for you. But like, to completely bug out because you see this guy used to be part of a hit squad. Come on, like, dude, part of the nature of the world that you work in. You know,
the more movies I watch like this, I'm like, man, the Russian mob has a ton of Baba Yaga. Like, it's easy to mess these guys up. They're scared of everyone.
Let this be a lesson to all you investors. If you're going to go in with the Russian mob, it better be more than 3%. Probably at least 5%.
Dude, they did not care that dude died.
No. Why would they?
That equity.
Again, they live in that crazy ass world. That was another running joke that came up that I was like really confused by and felt didn't hit for me, was the 2 times that he starts to tell his story to these guys that he's just killing. And then he halfway through realizes that they didn't hear anything he said.
I loved that.
Yeah, that did not hit with me
Whatever,
at all.
JJ, you laughed during both of those times.
Like, I chuckled because I understood what they were trying to do, but like, I was like chuckling more out of like that was a silly gag. Like, the first time it was with the Russian kid, the kid under the car, like, I was like,
so it's like a Bill and Ted laugh. Okay.
Well, it was like, fuck off. That was kind of a funny, like, the first time they did it with the kid in the car, I was like, okay, that was kind of funny. But then when they repeated the joke, I was like, you didn't need to do it a second time.
Right.
He didn't get to finish monologuing the first time, so he had to try to finish monologuing the second time.
Yeah, leave it alone at the first one. Shit would have been, I wouldn't have had a problem at all if they hadn't tried to do it the second time.
Nah, I was okay with it. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
If they had done it a third time, I might have been in your boat. But 2 times, I can do 2 times.
I also liked how when Hutch was considering what home to buy originally, he made sure the basement would burn super hot. So that one day when he had to kill a bunch of Russians in his house, there would be no traces of them. Like,
yeah, how can you say that you're out when you set up like your basement to melt human bones, right? Like, it kind of seems like he had one foot in the whole time, you know?
Hey, he was just waiting for a neighbor's hedge to be like 4 inches too high. They might not have been there the next day.
It's movies like this and Unhinged where I'm like, this is why you just don't talk to people in public. You don't touch people, you don't talk to people, because like, this dude's daughter's kitty bracelet was stolen and he went and killed like 900 people.
And it was under his couch the whole fucking time.
Also, this movie tells you if you want to close a negotiation, come in with bars of gold and you'll win every time.
Again with the gold. How much is that even worth? He was just like, deal. Like, you don't, what? You don't even know if these are real, dude. No questions asked. You're not like Hutch. Where'd you get blocks of gold from?
Hey, dude, right now, an ounce of gold is worth $1,800.
Wow. He paid too much.
So, I mean, that's how you got to look at it, is an ounce of gold right now, $1,785.30.
Was he trying to buy that business the whole time so he could set up a kill box for whoever unsuspectedly came in there?
Good question. Why?
That's what I felt like. He was just waiting for the opportune time. He set it up for years to say, hey, I want to buy this place. And then when he had a reason to kill Russians, that's when he just played ball.
I think he was trying to take it over. I think he was trying to live the life, but it was obvious that he was bored and he couldn't handle it.
Then you buy it and then you totally destroy your place of business because new management there's a electrical problem.
So I might not understand how grenades work, but can you just press them like that and they'll go off?
Well, it popped the pin.
Oh, it did?
Yeah, when it first started crushing it, like it popped the mechanism that was holding the pin. So the trigger mechanism for the grenade popped off, and in which case that activates the grenade. And so all it did was
I didn't think it activated because I thought that handle like stood there the whole time.
No, it popped, because that was my thought too. Was when we were watching it, I was like, and it popped. It would start crushing. I was like, that's interesting. I got really excited, but then I started thinking it through, and then 2 seconds later, I saw it snap the pin, and the bar flew. It popped up and out. And so I was like, oh, okay. All he did was give himself a little longer time release grenade was what he did. And I was laughing because I was listening to a podcast the other day that was talking about grenades, and somehow like, it was, have you guys ever seen The Professional with, oh God, you guys are terrible. So The Professional is an older movie, is a 90s movie, I think early 90s, late 80s. And it has, it was Natalie Portman's very first movie. She was 11 and she falls in league with this assassin guy. Well, at the very end, like he's wearing this vest that's got all these grenades, and he pulls this pin and hands it to the bad guy, but he's not holding the trigger mechanism at all. He just hands him the pin, and it takes like 25 seconds for the fucking grenades to go off. And in movies, that's all the time. You see, like, they'll pull the pin and they'll throw it, and then it takes forever for these. Like, you guys do realize that that's not how long grenades take to actually explode or blow up when you pull the pin and let go of the trigger. So I like that he gave himself. That's what I was like, okay. He just gave himself a more time-released grenade.
Okay, I can buy that. But talk to me about claymores.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That was a little much.
Yeah.
Super fun to watch, but a little much.
Casey did just say, she's like, did he just go through a gunfight with a fucking landmine in his shirt the whole time?
oh yeah.
Because he tucks it in there and then he goes running around while everybody's shooting at his ass. Like, it's a fair point. Somebody nicks that fucker, you're in trouble.
Even more excited. I don't know. He went in this movie. We need to combine some Joker-esque principles as well, because he just wanted to burn all that money. And I get that they came to his house, but maybe say, if you really want to squash the beef, because, well, now we know he didn't because he got in the car and crossed his fingers. He was hoping for the fight. But I don't know if it makes sense to burn all of the money and then say, let's squash the beef. And yes, they did come to his house, so maybe blood over money. But that was a little, I was like, he just wanted to fight. That's how I took it.
I loved that conversation where he's like, we can both rebuild. He's like, yeah. Wait, what? What do you mean rebuild?
He just pulls out this charred stack of 10 grand.
He loses his mind.
Yeah, I burned it all. I did like when he went to reach for like the napkin that was covering the claymore. Yeah. And everybody pulled all the guns and he's like, it's okay. Then he pulls it out and he pulls a very, like Madsen said, a very Joker-esque, like, got the string on his finger, like, okay, you guys still want to play? Yeah.
That and burning the money, and he didn't take any. He's like, screw this money, I'm just going to burn it all.
Seriously, that's what I did say that. I was like, you wouldn't take, a couple stacks?
That's why you should invest in gold.
It's fair. He'd have to have it in his basement to reach that kind of a melting point.
Also, this movie made me want to have a secret compartment somewhere in my future house that I just have for some cool reason. And I don't know what I put in there, but I want something in there.
Yeah, like the John Wick moment where he gets out his gold.
Or he pulls down the electrical outlet and hits cool buttons and the panic door slides, like something, anything.
Yeah, where you concrete your worth in the garage or in the basement, but you have to break all the concrete. It's a lot of fucking work.
I was confused about one thing. When he's talking with his adopted brother through the radio about the home invasion and how he didn't kill anyone. And Hutch was like talking about the gun and that it was empty. And then his brother's like, oh, now I understand why you didn't do what you didn't do. I don't understand how an unloaded gun would stop, because it wouldn't stop me from killing someone with a gun in my house,
That's because you're an asshole. I'm just kidding.
I'm the asshole. If you walk into my house with a gun at night, you've made that decision for me.
I'm just kidding. I understand.
He didn't feel threatened. This man has lines that we don't have, where unless you're coming at him with live bullets,
it just doesn't seem like he has lines that I don't have.
Yeah.
No, but he has skills that you don't have. And when he sees an unloaded gun, at the end of the day, this man obviously knew he could take these two out without any kind of effort. So when he saw that they weren't going to actually shoot anyone, he decided he'd let them live because they were obviously desperate. He pieced that shit together. So he was just trying to be a good man, I suppose.
And he just
not kill
came
someone.
from that police officer, from his son, from the neighbor. But he got that guy back. Definitely got
So if the gun was loaded, he would have killed them both.
Yeah, because they were pointing it at his son.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't think they walk away if the gun had been loaded. But before we get too far, because we've jumped around a lot, I want to talk. Can we just talk about my favorite scene in this movie? And that is Christopher Lloyd jamming a fucking gun by putting his pinky in the hammer.
Dude.
That shit was bitching. And then because he just grabs it, and I was like, what? He just blocked the hammer and then proceeds to shotgun this guy from like 2 inches away and smile as he smiles. What a fantastic scene. I loved Christopher Lloyd's character.
When we talk about one of the most oblivious nurses ever. Good thing that Chris watches Westerns.
This dude painted the walls with some Russian blood. This nurse like, turn the goddamn TV down.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that he's just
as he pats
the
that guy's
face.
Like, hey, it's okay. It's okay. But that brings another part where Hutch's dad clearly loves shotguns. And when they were first getting into the firefight at Hutch's place of business, and he's just firing off shotgun rounds when they're, I don't know, 80, 90, 100 feet away. And JJ was like, those aren't going to do anything. It's too far. He looked cool, though.
Unless he's got slugs. He could get there with slugs.
I don't think he had slugs, though.
Dude, he's coming into battle with a double barrel shotgun. This guy is full of dementia.
Well, he's not even just coming into battle with a double barrel shotgun. When he walks into the building, he looks like he's got a freaking pouch of shotguns on either side of him. Like
he's carrying like 6 of them.
Seriously, to the point that the main character's like, "Do you need any more shotguns?"
You got a lot of shotguns. You brought a lot of Russians.
Yeah.
How many?
But like, even with he had like 4 or 5 shotguns, right? He's got 8 to 10 shots before he has to reload. He fires way more than 8 to 10 shots without ever seeing him reload. And then at the end, they're like all out. He turns to his dad. He's like, "Are you out?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, of course he's out. That dude has been shooting blanks for like 15 minutes. That guy ran out of ammo the first 30 seconds into this exchange. He's so old.
Well, and Riz is apparently the greatest rifle sniper ever to live. The over-the-shoulder shot.
Oh, that was cool. Did you like the little shotgun blast?
Yeah.
Like they clearly did not think through that sound because he sticks it in there. It's like, boom. Yeah. Like, that's a shotgun round. That is not whatever you have in there.
Well, and then he like you were talking about in the spoiler free, the triple headshot. Like, I mean, I realized that that's a pretty high powered rifle, obviously, and he plugs them at very close range. But we were talking about this yesterday, before we recorded. Like, all it takes is one stray hit of a skull. I don't know, big, thick, giant piece of bone that you just shot through 3 of, and it goes completely the wrong direction. So I got some video game shit there.
Especially if they're hollow points, right? Hollow points are like designed to just like rip apart. They're going to go through 3 people.
Yeah.
Like, as skilled as this guy was.
What was that again?
Do they make hollow point rifle rounds?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I just bought my first rifle yesterday, so I don't know anything about them.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know if they make hollow point rifle.
This guy probably made his own custom ammunition. He knew there might be a chance for a triple headshot, and I feel like he's just prepared for it. And so he's. To
be fair, maybe he had some like armor piercing rounds. Those will go through heads. Right?
I mean, these people clearly have a lot of guns, as we saw in the end credit scene. So I feel like he knows what he's doing.
So that's my other thing. I'm like, this dude is, presumably very trained, and he brings a bolt action rifle.
He's that good
to fight like indoors. Also, like all these Russians are clearing rooms with rifles. And like, I don't know. I don't know anything about rifles. Never mind. I'm not going to comment on that. I don't know. I'm stupid. What do I know? I just feel like there's easier guns to clear rooms with, Well,
sure. But it doesn't look near as fucking cool as putting having some bad guy unscrew your freaking
and just baton them with that silencer. That was cool. I was okay with that.
Pull it over his shoulder, blind shot. in the chest, and then 3 headshots, it all in a fucking 2-foot hallway.
You know what I would have liked to have seen is for him to do his behind the back shot, right? And for the kickback to put the butt of the stock into somebody else's face.
That would have been awesome.
Okay, that would have been cool.
I would have loved that.
That
Ian,
would have been cool.
They're going to have to put that in the second movie because it's this type of conversations. These are the reasons we watch these movies. Because if he had come in with a normal, like, assumed shotgun and done that, you'd be like, anybody can do that. We didn't know you could do that with a sniper rifle. Very cool.
That was pretty
I did not think about the kickback, though, because if these rounds are like clotheslining people off their feet, like he puts it around here, pulls the trigger, he would have broken his hand.
Oh, at least. Not to mention he wouldn't have hit anything because it would have gone up. Like your wrist, that action's going to pull that forward and up.
He was doing that wrist grip thing. He's been doing that for years. Okay?
Yeah.
You just don't know this stuff.
That's true. He's clearly more proficient with this rifle than I am.
You did bring up a good point, Javier, that I did kind of in my mind laugh at when he's shooting him at first and you first realize he's there and he's plugging these guys and they're flying 3 feet backwards after getting hit. I'm like, look, I realize if it's a big enough caliber, they'll blow a fucking hole the size of my head in his back, but he's not going to go flying like someone just hit him with a baseball bat in midair, or he's got like those old bungee runs that you saw at the carnivals, where there's a big air blown,
like snaps you back.
Yeah, and you got this bungee strapped to you. That's what he looked like. He got to the end of the bungee and it yanked him backwards. So that's not how that shit works, but it looks cool, I guess.
It's all about looking good on the screen.
And then on a final note, before we rate this, did you guys watch? I know the 3 of us did, but Javier, did you watch the post-credit scene
with them in the RV?
Yeah. And Riz is like, "Why didn't we fly?"
Yeah, I'm like, dude, that's what I'm saying. This guy's so old. Why did we fly? Because we have 400 guns, dude. That's why we didn't fly.
I almost thought it would have been better if the dad was like killed in the action. Because like better that than sitting in a rest home, like wasting away. And I felt like that would have kind of fit a little better because he could kind of go out.
Not wasting away anymore. They're going to some crazy Mexican shootout or wherever they're going next.
So
it's fair. The boys are back together. The band's back together now. So I don't know that he'll be going back to the
That's probably why there's an ammo shortage during this pandemic, because it's in that RV like every round.
I would have been sad. I get what you're saying, Ian, and it's not a bad point, but I would have been pissed. It would have taken a point of my rating off of this movie if Christopher Lloyd had died, because he was by far my favorite character in this whole movie. And he was only in it for like 10 minutes, but he was so fucking entertaining for those 10 minutes that I would have been salty if they'd killed him.
Dude, he probably peed his pants as an old man in that rocking chair or whatever. As he waited for those Russians to come, he was like, please let it happen.
Are the potty jokes going to be like a staple now for this podcast?
All right, we ready to rate this movie?
Let's do it.
So ready.
I'll get us started. I'm so torn on this movie because when the action's really good, you have a lot of fun. It was entertaining as hell. It was extremely violent, very John Wick-esque. Yeah, I mean, all of those movies that we've seen in these just badass one-man kill, taking everyone out in creative, violent ways. I mean, right down to the rebar rocket, to the running with apparently bulletproof glass, which who knows why he had in that factory, so that he can, with a claymore strapped to the front of it and pulling it with your teeth. Like, yeah, there was some incredibly violent and unique kills in this movie. I did have some issues with some of the unanswered questions and contradictory pieces with the wife and the family, and it was just a little odd. Some of it was out of control. There's some weird questions that you're just like, where did that come from? But it's fun. And there's no way that you can deny, if you're watching this movie, like, there's some great shocking moments. It's fun. It's entertaining. Bob Odenkirk is like the everyman that now kills every man, so it's really interesting. But at the end of the day, can I really call it a fantastic movie? I don't know. It's hard for me to say that from a movie perspective. So my rating, I'm going to give it a 3.5. It's far better than average. It's a lot of fun to watch. I can't put it up with someone with my 4s and aboves, because those movies are they're well made across the board. This one had some real issues that stuck out to me, though I would watch it again because it is fun and entertaining, and it's a mindless movie that you can sit back and just go, holy shit, that's a lot of shotguns. So it's a lot of fun. Christopher Lloyd, by far my favorite character, even though he's only in it for like 10 minutes. But Bob Odenkirk was probably a close second because he was just entertaining and weirdly funny and fun to watch. So yeah, 3.5 for me. Ian.
I've definitely been going back and forth on my rating for this one too. Because like you said, I don't know that I could put it up with a 4s. It wasn't quite there yet, but I did really enjoy this movie. The action was a lot of fun. I prefer movies when they're more consistent with their like realistic action portrayal, and this one I felt like it was disconnected from the first half of the movie, and then the last half where it, like Mattson says, kind of turns into Home Alone. But I really enjoyed it. I didn't think Odenkirk was going to fit this role very well because the only other thing I've seen him in is that Office episode where he acts like Michael. So I wasn't expecting a lot, but I really enjoyed the movie. It was fun to watch. Great one-liners, like when he's putting his family down into the basement, kind of like expecting some like, I love you, or keep the kids safe. And he says, don't call 911. So I got a kick out of stuff like that. So I'd say 3.5 as well.
Mattson.
I'm going to give this movie a solid 3. It's definitely above average. I think from a plot perspective, definitely left a lot out and explaining kind of the past and the present, the future, where these characters are at and such, and connecting things. But again, I think Jay just said it best. You want a mindless movie that you can watch with a group of people and freak out at the types of killing, and you're going to be entertained. I think the other thing we didn't touch upon in this movie that I liked is the power of music. This movie definitely leaned into some really well-known songs and really lighten the mood, lighten the killing mood, I should say. I think it just really it always impresses me when movies do that, where you can make a very violent scene into basically a very funny scene based off the music that is being played. I thought they did a really good job of that, adding to the whimsical nature of this. I will definitely watch this movie again. I'm confident I'm going to be watching this movie with Javier probably, and it'll be a very good time. So solid 3, definitely watch again.
Javier, bring us home.
So I was prepared to give this movie a 4.5. But after talking about it, I was like, yeah, it's probably not. I think that's what I gave John Wick. So it's not quite there. Like, I don't like this movie more than John Wick. There are just parts of it that I like more than parts. But holistically speaking, John Wick is better. So that kind of goes back to my thing. Like, if you want to watch a movie like this, just go watch John Wick 1, 2, or 3. The violence was fun. The reason why he gets involved in like the killing the Russian thing made sense, in the sense that it made as much sense as it can make, you know, in movies like this. The acting was fine. There was just like too many John Wick tropes. Like, they really wanted to put a 1969 Ford Mustang in there. You know it. But they went with a 72 Dodge Challenger. That's what they, like, why? No reason. The neighbor's dad died and he got this. Anyway, no reason to have that car there. And there's like, yeah, I know. There's other things too, but I'm going to give this a 4. So I'm going to come a little bit higher. I still think it was a lot of fun. Like, if John Wick suddenly just stopped existing, this would probably be my next favorite, like, assassin, shoot people for no reason movie. Like, Extraction and all those movies come under this one, if that makes sense, you know? So it's a really good second place to John Wick. So I'm going to give it a 4.
So a couple 3.5s, a 3 and a 4. Pretty consistent. A lot of fun movie. I think that's across the board. Everybody it's a fun movie to watch. It's entertaining. And it's short, which makes it even easier to justify watching. I mean, 90 minutes with today's overbloated movies like 4 hours and 3 hours and 2.5 hours. It's easy to say a nice, clean 90-minute shoot 'em up, kill everybody movie. It's worth watching. This is a
hard movie to watch in front of people, though, right? Like, because I watched it like when I got home last night. So but then I got too tired, so I had to finish it this morning.
Sure.
I'm watching it, and my 2-year-old walks out, and I'm like, and I paused it. I'm like, I can't even watch this like without sound, right? Like, like there's no part of this. There's not a single part of this movie that I want my 2-year-old to see.
No.
So anyway.
Well, the first 20 minutes you probably could.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, because it's just Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, for like 5 minutes. I'm like, I get it.
They like take you like through 3 weeks of him doing the same shit. I was like, you could have done it for a week, and I would have understood. Like,
don't forget to take the trash out on Tuesdays.
Yeah, 2 to really bring it home. I'm like, okay. Yeah, they were more than 3 weeks. You did 3 weeks slowly, and then they like rifled through like week after week after week. I was like, I get it. Okay, got it. Totally got it.
That's fair. Yeah, it could have been an hour and 10-minute movie, and it would have been just as good.
Seriously, a 90-minute movie could have been shorter.
Yeah, it could have been 70 minutes, and I still would have given it the same score. All right. Well, we appreciate you tuning in. It's a fun movie to watch. Go watch it. For me personally, if you watched our spoiler free, I would wait till it's not free. But there's worse things you could spend $20 on at the same time. Next week we'll be reviewing Mortal Kombat. I can't tell you how excited I am. I hope my expectations aren't too high, and then
that movie is going to hate it, but super violent.
I cannot wait to see this movie, and I hope it's as good as it feels like it's going to be. So tune in on that. Again, that'll be the last movie we review for April. I'm really excited for May. There's some movies coming out that I can't wait for. So I think for the rest of the years, why can't I say the rest of the year, guys? I'm pretty excited. I think movies are starting to ramp back up. I know I'm going to see Mortal Kombat in the theater. I'm fully vaccinated, and our theaters are open back up. So I can't wait. I'm going to go watch that one in the way I feel like it was meant to be watched. And I think for here on out, unless things get crazy again, I'll be going to the theater. So looking forward to it. So we appreciate you tuning in. Mattson, why don't you tell everybody where they can find us?
You can find us, again, wherever good podcasts are found. Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Ghana. Check us out at whatsverdict.com. See the upcoming movies that we're going to be a part of. I know we'll be publishing what's coming up for May here shortly as well. And check us out on YouTube for our spoiler freeze. And as always, thank you for listening.
Definitely. Yeah, we really do appreciate you tuning in and all the support. Reach out to us. Let us know if we can watch movies for you. But excited for what's coming up. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye-bye now.
Cinemagic out.